I have an open wardrobe. This means clutter has nowhere to hide. And as someone who is easily distracted by any kind of visual clutter, the only option is to keep things tidy. And here are some of my tips. I use the same hangers because it helps to give the wardrobe a cleaner look. I used to settle with all sorts of random hangers, some of which were hand-me-downs, others came free with the clothes when I made the purchase. But no matter how much I organized, things always look a bit messy and unpleasant. So I highly recommend spending a bit of money on matching hangers. I love these ones because they are really flat, so they don't take up a lot of space, unlike the thicker wooden hangers. These also have a velvet coating, which is great for preventing the clothes from slipping off. Another really useful rule I go by for achieving a clutter-free wardrobe is I make sure all my pieces have a place to live. This works like magic, by the way, if you're thinking to cut down on your shopping. Every time I'm interested in buying something, I always ask myself, do I have space to store this item? And if the answer is no, then it's not coming home with me. I used to own more than my wardrobe could comfortably contain, so I often had to do quite a bit of reorganizing and repositioning every time I tried to grab something from my wardrobe. It was just too much effort. Worse still, all those clutters were camouflaging those things that I actually needed. So even though I had plenty in my wardrobe, I wasn't actually able to make good use of them. The next tip is not a rigid rule, but I find it to be quite useful at times, and that is the one in, one out rule. When I first took on minimalism, I went in hard with downsizing, but there are always those just-in-case items that I couldn't really let go of. And to prevent the clutter from piling up again, the one in, one out rule came in really handy. That way, I can very efficiently limit the things I don't use as much. Similarly, if I have something to sell or declutter, I usually try to delay buying a similar alternative until the downsizing is done and dusted, especially if I'm talking about those not very essential items. For example, a while ago I talked about selling this Louis Vuitton Totally MM. I've been keeping it in the dust bag because it's still waiting for a new home. I've been interested to get the Balenciaga tote bag to replace this Louis Vuitton because I just prefer something a bit more low-key for such a big tote bag. I'm not sure when I'll be able to sell this Louis Vuitton bag, but until then, I'm holding off buying yet another bag, designer or not. It hasn't really affected me in a major way, seeing I can still use my Longchamp whenever I need a big tote bag. Unlike the Balenciaga, this doesn't really have any compartments, so I've been using this with a bag organizer and it's been working fine. Now, every time I want to sell something from my collection, I get a lot of questions, so to make life easier for everyone, I put the details on my blog, and if anyone is interested, I refer them to my website. On that note, I want to thank our sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website builder and is super easy to use. I've never been very tech-savvy and I have no coding knowledge whatsoever, but with Squarespace, I was able to create my own website in a few hours. Whether if you're trying to showcase your portfolio, open an e-commerce store, or create an online appointment system, Squarespace can do it all. They have so many beautiful templates, and you never have to worry about technical things like updates, plugins, or patches. Go to Squarespace for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/colourfulnoir to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The next one shouldn't come as a surprise, and that is to declutter your wardrobe frequently. Now, you don't have to downsize to a capsule wardrobe overnight, but you can always start with donating those clothes that don't fit anymore, or repurposing those odd socks or worn-out t-shirts as your cleaning cloth for the kitchen or the bathroom. Once you get comfortable with the idea of decluttering, you can then move on to those pieces that you simply don't wear. My closet is fairly curated now, but if you have quite a lot to declutter and you have no idea where to start, a very simple way to track what you use is to face your hanger in the opposite direction every time you wear something. In a few weeks, the hangers that haven't been turned are basically the pieces you don't use. I learned this little trick from Sophie from Malama Live, and I thought that is so clever. This way, everything is very visual and you don't even have to use any kind of spreadsheet. Of course, this doesn't apply to everything, especially like dresses for special occasions or seasonal items, but I think it's a good place to start. Another tip I have for keeping a clutter-free wardrobe is to be comfortable with empty spaces. Years ago, when I first moved in, I was so eager to fill my fitted wardrobe with things. I think we've all been conditioned to think our wardrobe has to carry a certain amount of things, and it's a socially normal thing to have a fully packed wardrobe. I remember buying my first Chanel handbag, and when I put it on my empty shelf, instead of appreciating the bag, I thought, wow, look at all those empty spaces. I cannot wait to buy more handbags. Well, you really don't have to. I now welcome empty spaces. For me, this is a proof of mindfulness rather than a sign of deprivation. This is also why I really enjoy having an IKEA PAX wardrobe, because it means I can easily downsize. If one day the spaces outgrow my clothes, I can easily put one of the frames away rather than buying more things just to fill the space. I also think it's really important to have easy access to our pieces. I'm very fortunate to have a very generous space, so I don't really have anything put away in storage, but I am aware we don't all have the same space to work with. For example, living in a studio apartment with a child is a very different picture compared to a 4-bedroom house, so putting things away in boxes could well be a necessity in some cases. As long as those boxes are well organized and easy to access, it's still a great way to achieve a clutter-free wardrobe. My next tip is to utilize your drawers wisely to store those visually stimulating elements. In my wardrobe, I like to keep those not so visually pleasing items out of sight. For example, my very casual home clothes are stored in this drawer. Many of these I've had for years, and although the color selection is not really coherent with my other outfits, I need them for certain heavy-duty activities, such as spring cleaning and house painting. By storing them in this drawer, I can make sure they are still organized, but not standing out like an eyesore. In this box, I store all my casual, non-luxury bags. These bags are quite a lot bigger than my designer bags, so leaving them on the shelves would have taken quite a lot of space. Even though they are out of sight, they are certainly not out of reach. I leave the box in the bottom compartment just so the bags are easy to get to. Another tip to maintain a clutter-free wardrobe is to simply put things back where they belong. I think it was Tracy Bryan who said, if something takes you less than 2 minutes to do it right now, because otherwise you will have much more to do very soon. So if something needs folding before going back in your drawer, do it instead of waiting for the right time. It's so much easier to fold one jumper at a time rather than having several very messy drawers to attend to every 2 weeks. I also routinely do my ironing before putting my clothes back in the wardrobe. Even if I know I won't wear them soon, having wrinkle-free pieces in your wardrobe just makes such a difference visually. And there you have it. Those are the simple ways to have a clutter-free and tidy-looking wardrobe. I hope this video showed you why we don't always need a massive wardrobe. In most cases, we just need less clutter and a carefully curated closet. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave me a thumbs up. Thank you for being here, and I will see you soon.